Hello and welcome to the second week of the Writer's Workshop course on writing for young children. This week we'll be looking closely at what a story is and how stories can work through picture books. I'm going to start by reading you the very first of the Winnie the Witch picture books. This is a story that I see as being as near perfect as any picture book you'll find. The story is shared between words and pictures, and the story itself has the wonderful strong logic that makes it work really pleasingly. It's a simple story of a character with a problem. She tackles the problem, but importantly doesn't instantly solve that problem. If she did instantly solve it, and you'd think, being a witch with magic as something she can use, she could solve it instantly, but that would kill off the story. If her first attempt to solve the problem worked, then there really would be no story. In fact, what does happen is the problem gets worse, so the dramatic tension rises as we wonder how things can possibly be solved now. But they are solved, and in a most pleasing way, because the neat ending that comes is both a surprise and an entirely logical twist on what has gone before. And all of this is within a funny story that is also a story about love. What more could you ask? The fact that the story has been in print now for a quarter of a century is testament to how good it is. Here's the story of Winnie the Witch, written by Valerie Thomas and illustrated by Corky Paul. Winnie the Witch lived in a black house in the forest. The house was black on the outside and black on the inside. The carpets were black, the chairs were black, the bed was black, and it had black sheets and black blankets. Even the bath was black. Winnie lived in her black house with her cat, Wilbur. He was black too, and that was how the trouble began. When Wilbur sat on a chair with his eyes open, Winnie could see him. She could see his eyes anyway. But when Wilbur closed his eyes and went to sleep, Winnie couldn't see him at all, and she sat on him. When Wilbur sat on the carpet with his eyes open, Winnie could see him. She could see his eyes anyway. But when Wilbur closed his eyes and went to sleep, Winnie couldn't see him at all, so she tripped over him. One day, after a nasty fall, Winnie decided something had to be done. So she picked up her magic wand, waved it once, and abracadabra! Wilbur was a black cat no longer. He was bright green. Now, when Wilbur slept on a chair, Winnie could see him. When Wilbur slept on the floor, she could see him. And she could see him when he slept on the bed. But Wilbur was not allowed to sleep on the bed. So Winnie put him outside in the grass. When Wilbur sat outside in the grass, Winnie couldn't see him, even when his eyes were open. Winnie came hurrying outside, tripped over Wilbur, turned 3 somersaults and fell into a rose bush. This time Winnie was furious. She picked up her magic wand and waved it 5 times. Abracadabra! Wilbur had a red head, a yellow body, a pink tail, blue whiskers and 4 purple legs, but his eyes were still green. Now Winnie could see Wilbur when he sat on a chair, when he lay on the carpet, when he crawled into the grass, and even when he climbed to the top of the tallest tree. Wilbur climbed to the top of the tallest tree to hide. He looked ridiculous, and he knew it. Even the birds laughed at him. Wilbur was miserable. He stayed at the top of the tree all day and all night. Next morning, Wilbur was still up the tree. Winnie was worried. She loved Wilbur and hated for him to be miserable. Then Winnie had an idea. She waved her magic wand and abracadabra! Wilbur was a black cat once more. He came down from the tree, purring. Then Winnie waved her wand again and again and again, abracadabra! Now instead of a black house, she had a yellow house with a red roof and a red door. The chairs were white with red and white cushions. The carpet was green with pink roses. The bed was blue with pink and white sheets and pink blankets. The bath was a gleaming white. And now Winnie can see Wilbur, no matter where he sits. And that's the end. A lovely, lovely book.